Welcome inside episode 551 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains, and we have a playoff game day in the Senators organization.
The Belleville Senators are up against the Rochester Americans in a best-of-3 play-in series, so they got to get started real quick. And Ross, they're hoping to make this AARON Dell's worst birthday ever.
And they have the reinforcements waiting in Belleville in case they need them for Game 2. We've got some stats, news, analysis, and a full game day preview of that one. Plus, we'll take a look back at a wild second night of the Stanley Cup playoffs. A triple overtime game. A Sens abroad had 2 goals, and they lost 7-2. We'll get into all that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Wednesday, May 4th. And Pillzy, 5 years later, the Belleville Senators have qualified for the Calder Cup playoffs. It all gets going at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, we are so fired up for Belleville Senators' first ever playoff berth. And sure, maybe it's not quite the playoffs, but it is a play-in series because of the way the standings were done this year. And they've got their work cut out for them, Ross, because this Rochester Americans team, especially after they added reinforcements from Buffalo, they're a force to be reckoned with.
It's too bad we didn't get Power versus Sanderson, the 2 best defensive prospects in the world. We believe that Owen Power will be joining Team Canada at the World Championships, and we know Jake Sanderson re-injured his hand. He's got a cast for 6 weeks, but reinforcements are waiting in Belleville. Pillzy, 3 friends of the show, all skating together, waiting for the guys to come back. So Belleville finished as the higher seed, but because it's a best of 3, they start on the road. That's pretty rare, but they'll come back and play games 2 and, if necessary, game 3 in Belleville. So Tyler Boucher, Ridley Gregg, and the mayor, Carson Latimer, also skating with the extras as well. But that's the good news, Pillzy. The tough news is Victor Lodin also stayed back. He's got the flu and non-COVID illness. They're hoping that just some fluids, rest, food, and he'll be ready to go, hopefully, for game 2.
Yeah, that would be a big addition if they can get him back for game 2, because Ross, this Americans team, like, they're all about firepower up front. When you're looking at Jack Quinn, JJ Peterka, both those guys had massive seasons in the AHL and led their team in scoring respectively. So to have a highlight reel goal scorer like Lodin out of your lineup for the first game, that is a big loss, even though, and then when you have those other reinforcements waiting to come for game 2, this might be the toughest game of the series for Belleville on the road and down a couple bodies.
And because of the Jack Eichel trade, one of the pieces in return, Peyton Krebs, spent a lot of the season up with Buffalo. He's been reassigned, a Winnipeg boy, Winnipeg Ice captain from last season. He's an absolute stud, and they're having him slot in right now on the 3rd line. So to me, this is where Ridley Gregg comes into game 2. Like, those 2, for me, they're pretty interchangeable. I believe Krebs went like 15 to 20th overall in the same draft as Ridley goes late.
I'd
20s.
Give the edge to Krebs.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah.
So here's my spin zone there, though.
Okay.
If he's playing in a 3rd line role, who would you rather?
I think I would still take Krebs, only because, I mean, he was like the centerpiece of the Jack Eichel trade. He has NHL experience.
I mean, Alex Tuch's a pretty big piece.
Yeah, that's fair. You can put them side by side, that's for sure. But he was a big part of it, and I've always liked Peyton Krebs. That's for sure. He's been a solid guy throughout his junior tenure. That's for sure.
This ain't junior no more, though, pal. This is the AHL, and we got playoff action. Let's get this AARON Dell conversation out of the way. The Rochester Americans just got absolutely bullied on Twitter. Already getting sensed. It's AARON Dell's birthday. May the 4th not be with you, sir. Yeah. However, shout out Leaves Martian. Absolutely. I hope he has a terrible day. That's unbelievable stuff right there. It's setting up for a prime sensing now. B-Sens haters or Rochester Americans fans, they'll point to the fact that AARON Dell went 3-0 against Belleville this season. I believe
with a 9.26 save percentage, Ross.
Yeah. Shit.
Sheesh.
I mean, at the same time, though, I think 2 of those games were before the January 25th incident. The fact that I know the exact date of that injury, I think speaks to how much it pisses me off.
Yeah, no kidding.
We had a field day on that episode. I feel like the Belleville Sens should throw that episode on of Locked On Senators, that postcast on,
Yeah.
and they would get fired up for the game. Remember that we had the photo? I think it was on the 5th goal against. By the way, his save percentage for his career went up after allowing 5 goals in that game. And he's facing like this, and the puck's behind him. It's like, hey, pal, you're facing the wrong way. You gotta, I guess Dells take a little longer to power up than most other laptops.
Oh, there you go.
That being said, man, he's a decent AHL goalie. We can't take that away from him. However, you'd probably rather him than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, one of the Sabres' top goalie, young prospects, who's out with injury. So, I mean, Pekka Luukkonen is a big guy. Same with Sogard. They're both out with injuries. So it's going to be Philip Gustafsson starting. But Pillzy, we've got Mando back as insurance policy. He's been out for like months. I feel like I haven't seen him. It was a knee or a leg injury for him. So I'm excited that he's going to have the opportunity to at least dress. And I mean, it gives the team, we saw last night, we'll get into the NHL, but Louis Domingue, third string goalie, had to go in and play a double and triple overtime. I'm a little happier it's Kevin Mandolese rather than an ECHL guy. No disrespect to Logan Fladell or the other guy whose name I didn't even register, but it's going to be great to see 2 Sens prospects in the pipes for Belleville. But of course, we're hoping this is Gus's team, Gus's run to go and jump up. Last time the Sens farm team had a Swedish goalie in a playoff game, Pillzy,
Robin Leonard,
took him all the way to the Calder Cup championship. So let's hope that continues. But this is going to be a tough series, man. Rochester was high up. They faltered throughout the middle of the season. They were like 2-3 right behind Utica at the start of the year. They fell off a little bit, but they've got some pieces. We'll get to their lines in a second. We don't have Belleville's lines, but we do have a good idea of what they're going to do tonight. So with that said, give me your key to victory, not only for tonight, but for the series as well.
Well, it's going to be interesting because if you look at the Rochester Americans, they're a run and gun type team. Like, they scored the 3rd most goals in the regular season for the AHL, but then you flip it to their goals against, and they finished 30th in the league. So sure, they can put the puck in the back of the net, but they can't seem to keep it out of their net as well. So if Belleville's going to have any chance, they really need to focus on using that decor that they have. And it's too bad. Like, I don't blame MDZ for not wanting to come to Belleville. He's had to go through his crap, but that would be an immense boost to their decor. But even without him, you're looking at the likes of JBD, Lassie Thompson, Zach Leslie. There's a lot, Dylan Hetherington. There's a lot of really good, talented guys on that back end that I would say are more defensively minded than offensively minded. So that bodes well for the Senators. And then if you look at the goaltending, sure, AARON DELL had a couple hot games up against Belleville, but Philip Gustafsson, this has been a great season for him in the AHL. He's looking at a .915 save percentage and a 2.5 goals against, 11-6-1 record. So not the Gustafsson we're used to seeing in the AHL loss where he has struggled in the past. And I think this is the prime opportunity for him to show that he can be the guy in clutch situations. He wants to be able to show he's graduated from the AHL. Remember, he's on a one-way contract next year. So whether they got him up in the NHL as a 3rd goalie, which that'll be crazy if that happens, or in the AHL, they got to pay him big boy money. So he wants to show that he can earn that. And I think he can. And there's no tougher challenge. Honestly, like the Rochester Americans in a best of 3 play-in series is probably the toughest matchup this team could have got. Like, they are absolutely stacked, especially when you add a guy like Peyton Krebs into the lineup. So my key to victory is going to be solid defensively and through goaltending. To kind of wrap it all up there, they need their decor to make smart, simple plays, and then let the offensive guys focus on that. And Gus needs to come up clutch in big moments.
100%. We mentioned no Victor Lodin, but Belleville will get a boost with Rourke Chartier coming back after missing 6 weeks out with, I believe, was a wrist injury, but it's great to see him back. Man, he's had a few real good games for them this year. He's won them some games by himself. I think he had a 2-goal performance in a 3-2 overtime win, if I'm not mistaken, earlier this year. And he's one of those veteran guys who I think really impressed throughout his year. I want to actually look up his stats this year, because I feel like every time I was flipping on Belleville, I was like, oh damn, like he's playing pretty decent here. As I'm still trying to pull it up here, Roby Jarventie, 25 points in 33 games. Pillzy, that's a pretty decent addition to the lineup.
Definitely, yeah. Him, Matthew Edmond, Jake Lucchini, like these have been guys that the average hockey fan probably doesn't know and doesn't care too much about, but put them in the lineup to help support some of the younger rookie prospects, and they play a big role here. So I'm glad Roby Jarventie is back in the mix.
Who is your locked on player tonight for the Belleville Sens? Who needs to have a big game in order for them to jump out to a 1-0 series lead?
Well, I already kind of alluded to it, but I'm sticking with Filip Gustavsson. He's going to be my locked on player because, like Jack Quinn, Ross, we know Jack Quinn. We profiled him heavily in that draft because we had thought, hey, if you go with him with the 5th overall pick, you're getting the best shooter in the draft. That's not too terrible. And he's showing that he can be a great shooter in the draft as he scored 26 goals in 45 games, Ross.
Yeah, he missed that many games. 61 points in 45 games for Jack Quinn, 20 years old. Good Ottawa boy. Good Ottawa boy. Grew up cheering for the Sens. Daniel Alfredson super fan.
And he played in the 67s too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. So. Him and Marco Rossi both dominated. But you look at what they've also got. My head-to-head matchup, I'm going to save it right after a quick word. Pillzy, got a word from one of our favorite sponsors, and then we're going to get into a head-to-head matchup. We'll touch on Belleville's lineup a little bit further, and then turn our attention to the National Hockey League, where Matt Duchene had a pair of goals, but that's about it for the Predators as they were hunted down by the Avalanche.
Yeah, Ross, and we've got a word from our good friends over at Rock Auto. If any of you guys are thinking about making the trip to Rochester tonight, you want to make sure your car is good to go. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With ever-increasing numbers of makes, models, it's impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure all the waiting, sitting, drinking the crappy free coffee, reading magazines that are years old, and dealing with crappy Wi-Fi? No, don't do that. Don't go into the store. You can do everything on your computer or on your phone. Go to rockauto.com, guys. Save time and money when you're using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every single customer. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com today.
All right, Pillzy, feels good to say it. It's a game day for the Belleville Senators in the playoffs for the Calder Cup. Best of 3, which, come on. Like, can we at least get a best of 5?
Yeah, best of 5. Let's go.
I mean, best of 3. Like, come on. Anyways, that's what we get. That's what we'll take. And you know how to extend a best of 3? Win it so you can move on to the next series, which will be a best of 5. And then I think it's a best of 7.
Yeah, the AHL playoffs, it's hard to keep track. Yeah.
You know what? Win the day. Win the day. Win the day, and you'll play another one. My locked on player tonight. Doesn't Mark Kastelic just feel like a playoff type dude?
Yep.
How can he not be riding off a ton of confidence right now with the way he's played both at the AHL and NHL level? The offense is starting to come around. We know he brings face-off strength. We know he's a part of the reason why Belleville has the best penalty killing unit in the American Hockey League's North Division. Looks like he and Parker Kelly are going to stay together, and I think they might get a little offensive jump on their other wing. Don't be surprised if Jake Lucchini is in that slot on left wing. I believe they had Lodin kind of up and down there, but I think we might see Lucchini, the only Belleville Senator, by the way, to play in all 72 games this year. So you got to give some stick taps for Jake Lucchini. Led the team in scoring, 51 points for him, and I think that could be a good fit for him at left wing with Kastelic and Kelly. But Pillzy, the matchup I think a lot of Sens fans are curious to see. How many of us, myself, hesitantly I'll say included, wanted to see JJ Peterka picked at 33rd overall? Timmy's boy. But they decide to go with Roby Jarventie, who I believe will start on the top line tonight for Belleville. So you've got JJ Peterka, who led Rochester in scoring this year, not in points per game. We talked about Jack Quinn. But Peterka versus Jarventie. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Two offensively gifted players.
Yep, definitely. And Ross, I was on that side too. I thought JJ Peterka, the friendship tour, would continue for the Ottawa Senators, and I would have loved to see that because this guy is an absolute stud out there. But the Ottawa Senators, they're going to have to figure out a way to shut him down. And Roby Jarventie, he's a hot and cold guy, right? Like either he's on a goal drought or he's on a goal scoring streak. So hopefully he can get hot early here. And if he's hot for 3 games, he's a difference maker. Don't kid yourself, especially with Lodin not on the power play unit. He's going to be able to have a lot more opportunities on the man advantage.
Pillzy only 1 assist in his last 11 games. No
so
goals.
He's due.
Because in the 4 games before that, he had a goal and 3 assists. So you're right. Very streaky throughout. He's also 8 months younger than JJ Peterka. And when you're talking about 19, 20-year-olds, there is a bit of a difference. But JJ Peterka, Pillzy, I said that he had like that Jarventie had like a goal and 3 assists in those 4 games. He then went 6 games without a point before that. So I'm not a math guy, so it's going to be hard for me to add up all those games, 11 plus 4 plus 6. However, JJ Peterka had that many points in all those games in his last 1 game. He had 3 goals and an assist in his final regular season game. So that's tough. That's tough for him. But again, we'll see. And he did go the next pick. Roby went 33rd overall, and Peterka went 34th. Literally the next pick in the draft. So a good storyline to watch though tonight. JJ Peterka versus Roby Jarventie. How can we preview Belleville without touching on the Shark man, Igor Sokolov? I'm hopeful to see a lot of goal scoring for him. I believe he's going to start on a line with Cole Reinhardt, which should open up some space for him. We know Reinhardt's super solid on the forecheck, really speedy guy. Maybe throw a Logan Shaw in the middle, maybe get some veteran presence out there, a guy who can win faceoffs, create puck possession for him. But I would love to see Igor pop off, because then maybe Sabres fans will be like, oh, we shouldn't have taken Peterka. We should have taken the guy who went 20 picks later, Igor Sokolov. A lot of 2020 picks in this series, man.
Yes.
But you know what's crazy? You talk about Jack Quinn being in this. He went 5 picks behind Tim Stützle, who's already got 100 points in the NHL. So, you know what? I think Belleville's still going to be set up for some success in this series.
Yeah, exactly. I think this series, I'd be shocked if it doesn't go with the full 3 games, which sounds funny to say. It's going to go all the way, the full 3 games here.
The full 3 games.
But these 2 teams are just like,
I'm dead.
They're very evenly matched. Even if you look at how they fared head to head, and if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see it here.
Shout out Belleville Senators on Twitter and Instagram. Footy, the man for the graphic.
Yep, thank you, Belleville Senators. And sure, don't get too wrapped up in the 5-2-1 head-to-head record that Belleville has, because 3 of those games were decided in shootout or overtime. So a lot of close matchups, and Belleville blew them out once, and Rochester blew them out once. So it can go either way here. And look at the goals for and the goals against. Belleville, a very balanced team, whereas Rochester, they score a lot and they get scored on a lot. And their power play is absolutely lethal at 23.5% success rate. So I need the Belleville Senators to play a hard, physical, defensively smart game. I think that's their key to victory.
8 goals for Jack Quinn against Belleville in 8 games, 4 assists as well. He had 12 points, most of anyone in the series, whereas Cole Reinhardt and Igor Sokolov both had 5 goals against Rochester. Jake Lucchini with 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points, the most for any Belleville Senator. I already touched on it. Rochester, the number 3 power play in the AHL, and Belleville, the 6th best penalty killing unit, whereas Belleville has the 19th best power play and Rochester the 22nd best PK. And I worry that Belleville's power play is a bit inflated from the Michael Del Zotto era where he was quarterbacking that first unit. But we will see tonight if Lassie can take over quarterbacking that first unit. How's Colby Williams going to fit in as a veteran guy who missed some time this year due to injury? He's back. We are fired up for this game. Follow us on Twitter at Sens Central or on Instagram lockedon.senators. Pillsy's going to have eyes on the screen, not boots on the ground. Eyes on the screen on AHL TV for tonight's game. No postcast. I got to work tonight, but Pillzy will be all over that. We'll be tweeting out updates throughout the game. All right, we got to get to the NHL playoffs, but first, Pillzy, I want an official prediction. You said it's going the distance, a marathon 3-game series. Give me the total. Like, is it going to be overtime games? You mentioned each team had a blowout. Could we see a couple of those? How are you handicapping this series?
Well, I'll start with game one, and hopefully my mush streak can continue, but I see Rochester winning game one. I mean, at home, Belleville's down all these players. They don't have their reinforcements yet. So I think Rochester is going to squeak game one by. And then game two, Belleville's going to come back with a bang. They're going to, I wouldn't say.
You mean Ridley Gregg?
That's going to help. Yep. And I don't think they're going to blow them out, but it's not going to be a close one. And then game three, I got Belleville winning in overtime.
Whoa. And I like how you put a little Rick Jenneret on that.
Thank you for catching that.
Rochester's Buffalo's team. I'm fired up so much. I'm going to have a couple Built Bars today, and we are going to get to Rochester's lines real quick after this and then get into the NHL playoffs, of course, from a Senators perspective. Big game for the Tampa Bay Lightning as well tonight. But summer is coming, and with summer comes outdoor activity. And when you're on the go, you want to pack something that's light but can get you through the day. And that's why you got to reach for a Built Bar, the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. You just throw them in your bag, in your kid's backpack when they go to summer camp, and everyone can get a bar so you're fueled for the summer adventure. The packaging looks awesome, but it's what's inside that really means more. They're healthy and delicious. They're not sacrificing delicious food for health. With Built Bars, you can have both. Have your cake and eat it too, but feel good about it. They do have some unbelievable flavors. That birthday cake one is so good. All Built Bars and Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. And have you tried the Built Puffs? You have to try the Built Puffs. It's literally a protein-infused marshmallow. Are you kidding me? Go see them for yourself at Built.com. Get all your favorites there. We recommend the mix box. You can try this, that, and the other. Never get tired of same old. But one thing that you won't get tired of other than Built Bars is our great promo code. Locked15 gets you 15% off your next order at Built.com. That's promo code Locked15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, Pillzy. So we've got a Belleville Senators playoff game day, and the Rochester Americans have already showed their hand. Here are their lines tonight. We've got Mark Jankowski centering Jack Quinn and JJ Peterka. The second line is Cole Malone between Ryan McInnes, yes, son of Al McInnes, and Mersch. Then we've got Peyton Krebs on the third line centering Brett Murray and Rustalainen. And then the fourth line, I don't think we'll see these guys very much. Biro, Rusek, and Weisbach. On defense, Schultz, Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald played a lot with Buffalo. He'll be their number one guy. They've got Tevz and Prow and Elliott and Alt, and in goal, birthday beats coming for AARON DELL. Let's see if he can get a nice little tan from the red light going back on behind his head tonight. The Rochester Americans were 37, 29, and 7 on the season. 5 wins in their last 10 games. And as we mentioned, JJ Peterka with 68 points in 70 games, the most for the Sabres farm team in Rochester. Pillzy, that decor does not scare me at all.
No, it doesn't. But Casey Fitzgerald, which I believe he's Brady Tkachuk's cousin, right?
Yeah.
They had that picture before the game. Yeah. So, I mean.
I thought Brady was just posing with a fan.
Yeah, you could say that too. But I mean, if you've got a milliliter of Tkachuk blood in you, you're probably going to have a good performance in the playoffs. So I'm not sure what side of the family he's related, but still.
The dad, he's a Massachusetts guy, so I don't know. It's got to be something there.
Yeah, that's for sure. And he's a solid defenseman. So, but you're looking at this team up front, and that top line is incredible. Like, Lassie Thompson and Dylan Hetherington have their work cut out for them trying to stop these guys. So, if you can maintain them, I think Belleville has the better options depth-wise. They've got a little more difference. Like, this is a lot of skilled guys for the Rochester Americans here. Whereas you look at the likes of Kelly, Kastelik, Reinhart, they're able to bring so many different things to the mix that in playoff hockey are very important. So I have a feeling the Senators' depth is going to play a big role in how this series goes.
Oh, I know where I know Arttu Rustalainen from. He was also a member of Eels with
Makes
Lassie
sense.
and with Roby Jarventie. He had 27 points and 16 goals in 19 games with Eels during
Wow.
the
Damn.
lockout. So the old English pub or the old Irish pub was getting
Yeah.
fired up for him. But it's Belleville series. I've got them winning in 2 straight. Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
They're going to light up AARON DELL on his birthday, blow him out like candles on the cake, and away
There we
they go into the next round. Speaking of next, we got to get into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Pillzy, let's quickly recap last night before we turn our attention to, the Lightning can't go down 2-0. Are you not worried?
It's not the worst thing. This is the Toronto Maple Leafs we're talking about.
Good. Thank you. I needed that. I just need a little reassurance. But last night, my Stanley Cup favorites, at least from the Eastern Conference, it's a tough way to lose a game. Triple overtime, game 1, a goalie-friendly show. We got to start with this. What the hell happened to Casey DeSmith? Who pulls himself in double overtime?
Well, I mean,
Do we know the injury?
Yeah, it's a lower body injury. From what it sounds like, is he was getting cramps, and Jake Sanderson can let him know mustard packets, Diet Cokes, and some IV drips is what he needed there.
But dude, you and I were both watching the MSG broadcast, and both Steven Valaquette, who obviously didn't have the best NHL career, but he's sitting next to
good analyst.
Sitting next to a guy who did, Henrik Lundqvist. Lundqvist is like, I would never pull myself with cramps, especially when you're the backup. This is your time to shine, but hey, guess it worked out well.
I mean, if you can't go, you can't go. And when you've just played 5 periods of playoff hockey, I'll give the guy a little bit of a break there. And yeah, Louis Domingue steps in and he does a good job. But I think we're bearing the lead here, Ross, because even though he was a losing goaltender, how about Igor Shesterkin? The Vezina winner. If anyone else wins the Vezina, we riot. It's a joke of an award. Because the most shots faced in a single Stanley Cup playoff game, he faced 83 shots. Only Jonas Korpisalo faced more in 2020 with 88. So 79 saves, that's correct math. That's pretty damn impressive. And if you're the Rangers, you're going out. You're firing back big time to help out Igor after that effort, because he was absolutely outstanding. And that was one hell of a playoff game for game 1. But if DeSmith is out and now you're relying on Louis Domingue for the Penguins, that is tough news. So I would head to betonline.ag and check out the odds for Rangers playoff series win now. It's a good time to hop on that.
It certainly is. And like we said, can't count out of getting Malkin and Sidney Crosby. Malkin gets the game winner on just...
And Crosby had a couple assists too.
And you knew it was just going to be like a redirect, that sort of thing.
It's never a nice goal. Never.
Unless it's Pajot on a 2-on-1. We just talked about Henrik Lundqvist, so 4 goals. That's absolutely sick. 4 goals is what Pittsburgh got in the game, and still Shesterkin had like a .925 save percentage. 78 saves he had. And Pittsburgh got 125 shot attempts at one point in the game. It could have even expanded after that. Like, what an unbelievable showing for Shesterkin. He did all he could, but in the end, Pittsburgh takes game 1 on the road.
And tough injury for Pittsburgh too, Ross. Ricard Raquel, he got absolutely demolished, and that looks like a concussion for sure. So
what'd you think of the hit?
Not great.
No?
Not great.
Not as bad as Kyle Clifford, though.
Oh, God, no. Not nearly as bad. No, it was a hockey play, and he caught him high.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas the Kyle Clifford one, that was not a hockey play. That was just a bonehead move.
Yeah, no doubt. He got 1 game suspension just for completeness sake, but I'd argue that actually benefits Toronto because it takes...
now you get Spezza, yeah.
Well, yeah, it takes the decision. Michael Bunting's probably going to jump in as well.
True. Yeah, he is coming back, actually.
But that to say, it just takes the decision out of the hands of Sheldon Keefe, and I don't know about that. And apparently Willie Nylander was playing after getting food poisoning at lunch. I guess he had some Benito sushi. I don't know. Maybe some dry cleaner sushi in Toronto. You never know what you never know what you're going to get with that. But hey, that's a big game tonight. But last night, like, Calgary just showed you they can win any way you want. That was a real physical game against Dallas, and they win 1-0. Got great goaltending from Jacob Markstrom as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if they're able to shut down the Stars' top line, and you got Markstrom in goal, and you got a Daryl Sutter-minded defensive approach, 1-0 will do.
Yep. Well, you know what this game just made me crave is watching Brady Tkachuk play in the playoffs, because Matthew was
So much.
all over the ice last night. Got in a fight, huge hits, and he was all over the place for them. Didn't contribute or didn't get the goals. Elias Lindholm, who scored the goal, although primary assist on the power play. I always find these games fascinating where a goal scored in the first 5 minutes, and that's the only goal all game.
Especially playoffs, because everyone's given 110% effort, and it's intense odds and chances here.
Talk about Daryl Sutter hockey, though. They only gave up 16 shots the whole game.
Wow. Yep. That's impressive. Damn.
Yeah. Mark Show. I got Calgary winning the cup. So, if there's a Canadian team that's going to do it,
it's Calgary.
them. How about Dallas only having 16 shots while having 5 power plays in the game as well? Over 5 on the power play. That's a tough showing there. But we had some animosity after the game. Rasmus Andersson getting called out from... who was it? The Swedish John Klingberg.
Klingberg, yes.
And honestly, we are not pro Rasmus Andersson, guys. He's the dude who stole the puck from Philip Gustafsson, remember, after his first NHL win?
Yeah.
So he's on the list.
He's on the list.
People don't forget. Right? He's a few tiers below AARON DELL, but he's still on the list in terms of that. Can't blame Jake Ottinger. He got the start for Dallas. I thought he was excellent. Just looking over the Sens abroad, not much going. A 0-0-0-0-0 stat sheet from Vlad Nemesnikov, played just under 11 minutes. And 4, get this, Pillzy, for Goody, 3rd most ice time among defensemen for Calgary. And you got to think a lot of that was because Rasmus Andersson had 15 PIMs and only played 8 minutes and 33 seconds in the game. And he's a right shot defenseman, so they relied obviously more on Chris Tanev and Erica Branson in this game. But hey, good for Goody, man. I love seeing good things for him. I mean, he also led the team with 2 giveaways, but at the same time, man, that is good to see as well. Matthew Tkachuk, 5 penalty minutes, 3 hits, 16 minutes. Some people yesterday on our YouTube comments said, sell the farm, do whatever you can, get Matthew Tkachuk. And we're probably way ahead of ourselves, but just to throw a name out there for fun. RFA, I know that you have mixed emotions there for sure when it comes to having Matthew be a part of the Sens. That's a pipe dream. He's going on a cup run right now. But Pillzy, we had an upset last night, and I guess you could consider Pittsburgh one as well, but triple overtime is where the Capitals put on a clinic in Florida.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, Florida they couldn't finish things off, and TJ Oshie gets a beautiful pass and he gets the game winner there. But it looks like Tom Wilson, he got high sticked in the eye, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back. That is a massive, massive loss for the Capitals in the playoffs. So if you're looking at playoff series prices at betonline.ag, that's another one I would maybe hop on. Although I think they're still favorites, even though they're down 1-0, which is pretty rare. But I think Florida will bounce back. Like Washington, they've got the playoff experience, so I kind of expected them to show a little fight to start, but this Florida team is just so deep. And Aaron Ekblad, I mean, the guy hasn't played in a long time, so it might take a while for him to get his feet back from under him.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he played over 24 minutes, led all Panthers defensemen in ice time in this one. But they had a 2-1 lead going to the third period, Pillsy, and that's what kind of makes me is their confidence shaking at all here? This is a team that hasn't won a playoff series. Sure, they have guys who have, but they haven't won a playoff series since before the Leafs.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a close game. Like I wouldn't say the Capitals really blew them out of the water or anything. So.
Right, they scored with under a minute left. I got to assume that Lars Eller goal is an empty netter.
Yep, it was. So
yeah, but I mean, still, you're giving up 3 in the third period, 2 in quick succession, within 2.5 minutes of each other in the middle of the frame, and it's the guys who you don't want to see scoring if you're the Florida Panthers on Washington side. Kuznetsov, then Oshie, Ovechkin with only 1 assist in the game. So, he's got more to give in that one as well. I don't know. I'm not saying they should be worried just yet, but they should certainly have their tails up here and know or their ears perked up here. If you're the Cats, I know you're the cat guy. You should be making the cat analogies on this show. But if you want to talk about a complete beatdown, the Avalanche, man. Hey, shout out Matt Duchene, 2 goals. But my God, he was the only Predators player, rather, who did anything in last night's game.
Yeah, the Preds have literally no chance. I think this is the most obvious sweep ever. David Riddick, he's not going to get the job done. It's so sad that Saros, though, I just saw a tweet come out that says he's not going to play in game 1 or game 2. So to tweet that out means you're kind of opening the door for the rest of the series. So
Right.
maybe they get lucky and they squeeze one game out, but they're done. Like that, this Predators, they're about to be extinct and they're going to be covered in snow from the Avalanche. Like it's
No
going to be tough.
doubt, man. It was 5-0, 15 minutes into the game, Pillzy. Like,
Yeah, and the
come on.
players just looked demoralized. Like the Avs were just running all over them.
Can we get a little stick tap, though, for Mark Borowiecki? Even in a 7-2 loss.
Raise the banner in Nashville. Mark Borowiecki even in a 7-2 loss game one.
5 hits, 5 block shots for Boro.
Hell yeah,
Absolutely
what an animal.
love to see it. Complete animal. Unfortunate that he's in the situation he is, but man, at least they're in the playoffs. But hey, Connor Ingram went in, played well, 30 saves on 32 shots, but no save Dave Riddick. Only 8 saves on 13 shots. That ain't going to cut it no matter which way you slice it. Cale McCarr had an unbelievable goal. You got to see that if you're scoring at home. All right, the same 4 games that started on May 2nd, day 1 of the playoffs. Game 2s will go in those series tonight. Boston down 1-0 to Carolina. Toronto up 1-0 on Tampa. St. Louis up 1-0 on Minnesota. And LA, I guess St. Louis was the road team as well. But LA also getting the victory on the road in Edmonton. Which team is there a must win tonight? Or are you of the mind that no team is in trouble until they lose at home?
I've got one must win. Excuse me. I've got one must win, and it's the Oilers. Like, if you're the Oilers and you go down 2-0 to LA at home, and then you got to go into LA down, like that is just so tough. And I just think the media is going to get all over them. Connor McDavid, his head's going to start spinning. Am I going to be bounced early yet again? Like, am I wasting my prime? All this kind of stuff. So they're the only must win for me right now, because the other teams, like being down 1-0, that's not crazy, right? Like, you can see how the other teams got a quick jump on them. So I think the Oilers have the most pressure here.
All right, well, let's follow that. I think that the Leafs have some pressure too, because I'm putting it on them, as the Tampa Bay Lightning are not going to get embarrassed lightly. Did you see the stat here? I got to pull it up. I think it was it Sportsnet or TSN? I don't know. I'm actually shocked that either of them put up this stat, because, it's fair to say they're usually pretty pro Toronto Maple Leafs, but
a little bit, yeah.
The stat was Vasilevsky. Maybe if I just search him, Vasilevsky, with that pesky I in the middle of nowhere, his record, bang, got it. Again, love Twitter. Vasilevsky coming off a loss in the playoffs over the last 2 seasons, 14-0 with 5 shutouts and a .966 save percentage after a loss. And not only did he lose, that has to be one of the most lopsided losses he's ever been a part of in the playoffs outside of the Columbus series.
Definitely. I would say so, yeah. And that's why when the Leafs won that game so decidedly, I was like, this is good for the Lightning.
Pour it on.
This is what they
Don't
need.
win by 1. Win by 5. Just like Ottawa did in game 1 20 years ago.
Thanks for bringing that one up. We needed that one. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting games tonight. I think the Bruins, like, that's another team similar to the Lightning, right? Like, they've got a lot of pride and respect in that franchise, and they're not going to be happy with how that first game went. So look for a big bounce back from them. It'll be interesting to see how they use their goalies though, Ross, because Ullmark, he's been a pretty good starter for them, but him and Swayman pretty much split the season dead even. So maybe you say, hey, let's give Jeremy Swayman a chance here.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I know we're going to be following along, not locked on it, because we're locked on the Belleville Sens tonight, who begin their quest for the Calder Cup. All right, Pillzy, final thoughts here, and we've got a little news, as every team has a King Clancy Memorial Trophy nominee to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. Now, before I tell you who the Senators nominee is, who would be your qualified player for that?
Does Nick Paul count?
No, but that's very good.
That's where immediately my mind went to. Brady then?
No, you're actually halfway there already. Nick Holden is the Senators nominee.
Okay. How was I halfway there?
Because Nick. You said Nick Paul.
Okay, gotcha. I thought you were talking about with Brady. Okay,
No,
gotcha.
Nick Paul and Nick Holden. Just having a little fun, man.
I
Just
love
having
it.
some fun with words. No other former Sens, no Sens abroad nominated. And again, nice little prestigious award. And great to see Nick Holden fitting into the community. Yeah. Great guy. Always starts those videos off
Safety
with
first.
complete electricity. So good for him. Good for him. Final thoughts, Pillzy, either going into tonight's Stanley Cup playoff action, day 3 of the chase for the Stanley Cup, and day 1 on the Belleville Sens quest for AHL glory.
Kind of just like a random thought is just how good is round 1? Like round 1 is the best round for sure because it's constant action. It's up and down. You're thinking, okay, this team's ahead. This team's ahead. Are they going to meet in the next round? Is injuries going to be a problem? Like round 1 NHL playoff hockey, it's the best round 1 of any major sport in my opinion. It's just so good.
The quest for the cup. Even Pat McAfee's been picking it up. I've been enjoying their content. Him trying to pronounce Igor Shesterkin yesterday was all-time brilliant comedy for sure. Pillzy, how'd your parlay do yesterday?
That's a big loss. Both of the teams lost yet again. I don't have a parlay today. We don't have a Bet Online ad, so I don't have a parlay today. No, I'm not Ross. The amount of analysis, preparation, thoughtful insight that goes into my parlays, I can't just whip these up on.
But I feel like we have to change up how you approach these. Just
why does there need to be a change?
Go to betonline.net right now. Go to betonline.net right now. I need you to pick 2 games out of nowhere, and if this works, you have a new strategy of how you pick here at BetOnline. There's plenty of games to choose from. You've got Tampa on the road. You've got where else do I like? I think I like Carolina here even more so because the stats have come out now that in 3 regular season games, it was 16-1, and then they go out and kick their ass in game 1 as well. I don't think the Bruins are going to roll over, but man, I'm starting to like I have Carolina in 7. I'm starting to think it could be 5, maybe 6 games there. But as I'm kind of stalling for you here while you're at betonline.net. Let's go. You're 0-2 so far this Stanley Cup playoffs. You're doing one every single day. There's absolutely no getting out of this.
Ross, I don't think I have the cash to support that gambling issue of the parlay
responsibly.
Today. But I'm switching things up here. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Leafs.
Excuse me?
Yep, the Leafs. And Leafs and Wild.
Whoa.
So Toronto Maple Leafs money line at -129, Minnesota Wild money line at -138. Put $5 in, you're going to win $10.31. There is no rhyme or reason to how I did this, so maybe it'll work out. And if it doesn't, then the Leafs lose. It's awesome. So I'm going to try to make myself happy. And when I mush myself, I don't feel bad about it. I feel good about it. So we'll see how this one goes.
All right, you can follow Brandon on Twitter at Brandon Piller 1. I'm at Ross Levitan. You can follow the show at Send Central and on Instagram, lockedon.senators. The subscriber count continues to rise on YouTube. Yeah. We absolutely love to see it. The road to 2,000 is very close, so go please subscribe there. It does go a long way for us. We'll be back tomorrow to break down the Belleville Senators. I'm calling victory. Belleville Senators game 1 tonight against Rochester, and another busy night, as every night is in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So stick around for all that, and we'll again be tweeting out live updates from the game tonight at Sens Central. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.